so I haven't done one of these. Welcome back. If you're someone that listens to these, if you're one of the like 18 people that listens to these things that I post, I've posted 2 just in this year. I posted about my grandson last fall, and then back in February about the girls' senior night. Those kids that I'd coached and have been around for a long time, built a great relationship with. Well, the guy sitting with me decided to do it outside, and luckily we got neighbors mowing. We got somebody mowing to the south of us. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing.
Fire going on.
And then here comes the wind. So the nice thing is these microphones are good, so hopefully you won't get a lot of that extra stuff in there. But I'm sitting here with one of my favorite people in the world. Lucas and I have known each other since he was a little boy. He used to come to Cougar Camp, the basketball camp that Coach Giesler would put on, and then I put on when I became the varsity coach. And so we've known each other since he was probably like a first grader, second grader, and he was old enough to come to that camp and used to run up and down and shoot shots and all that. And then during his sophomore year, he got put into a new class at Illini Central that had a big, long, fancy name that I ended up cutting down to just the class. And now anyone over here knows what the class is. And it usually gets a number behind it. So this year we're up to number 5. So it's been 5 years.
That's crazy.
It's been 5 years that you and I have been in each other's face quite a bit. Talked a lot about coaching and life and all kinds of different things. And we were talking after the year that you've had that we needed to do a coaching podcast. And my intention was always with this thing to do a lot of coaching stuff. I've done at least one big episode with a good friend of mine that I grew up with. And then I've obviously done the ones that I was doing as we were going to state with the middle school girls. But so here we are sitting outside talking about we'll talk about how you got to this point, and then we'll talk about your big year of basically coaching something every day for the most part since August.
This whole year,
Yeah, you've done something this year that I've never done. I've never coached back to back to 2 at the same time. Coaching 2 sports at the same time,
and 4 grades too.
Right,
there, so
and a lot of different grade levels.
It was fun.
So anyway, 2 years ago in the class. 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago in the class, which would have been your senior year.
Yep.
And then you come into my room to help me out during 6th hour.
Yep. Never forget it.
You made up your mind. You had made up your mind that you wanted to do what for a living?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a state cop, and most of that was for the money and the benefits and everything that was, not necessarily better than being a teacher, but a higher percentage.
Right.
So being a teacher was always my second option. I always knew that was kind of, if plan A didn't go through, that was going to be plan B. But it only took me about 2 weeks at Carl Sandburg when I took off to go play baseball there. It only took me about 2 weeks to realize, I know I'm not going to be able to play this game forever. At the time, I was like, I don't know if tomorrow, you never know when your last day is in anything, in any part of life. And I didn't know, maybe next week is the last, maybe, I never knew. And so those 2 weeks I realized I can't not be around the game of baseball or basketball alone. Not having that basketball season when it got to the winter months really bothered me. When I was supposed to be in the gym working out for baseball and I'm filling out my thing, when I was really just shooting hoops in the gym,
Right.
and coming home to watch the games and broadcasting with you, I knew that in that moment, in that year, last year, before my coaching year, the year of when I was playing, in that year I realized, I have to be a teacher and I have to be a coach.
Yeah, all those conversations that we had, and I would tease you and you talk about, I want this Mustang, I want this car, I want this brand new Mustang. It'll take me, you had it figured out. You were down to, it's going to take me 2 years and I'll be driving off the lot in a brand new car. And it was never wanting you to not have that stuff. It was wanting you to understand that you can be rich and it has nothing to do with the wheels you got or whether you got a swimming pool like I got sitting right over there or whatever. It is your opportunity to make a difference in life. And, that was what I said to you. One day it was like word for word. I was like, do you think I'm rich based on what I drive and what I like what my house looks like? Or do you look at me as Mr. Wherley, Coach Wherley, whatever, and think, well, that guy's rich because the relationships that he has with so many people. I've been very blessed, and I have a lot of people who I've coached, for 30 years or taught or whatever, that I'm very close to, and those relationships are what makes me rich. What makes me rich.
Yeah, and the biggest relationship, like you said, you knew of me growing up, but then from sophomore year to now, we've built a great relationship, and that's the one thing that my mom, is really proud of, because growing up, she always wanted me to play for you, and then it just happened to time out that you had stepped down right around the time that I was coming in, but then I got thrown into your class, and so that was, because she didn't want me to build a relationship with you as a coach, or as coach to player. She just wanted us to have that relationship because she knew the person that you were.
Yeah, and I mean that means a lot to me that you say that, and that's kind of what I see a lot of me in you. You're an infinitely better athlete than I ever hoped to be. You worked twice as hard as I ever did, and all of that to say, I still see the side of me that is rich from that opportunity, my ability to build relationships with people. I see that in you. I see your ability to do that with the kids that you have coached. I've watched you do it.
Yeah.
And we can get into that in a few minutes. But that's what's funny, setting the stage for someone, one of the people that might be listening to this that's not from Illini Central, that doesn't know who you are. That's our relationship and how we've got to be where we're at. And we've talked about everything. We talked about life and other things. It's not just about coaching and sports and whatever. It's life stuff as well.
I mean, a lot of my decisions, have been persuaded through our conversations. And then, sometimes we talk and I'm like, no. And then, like I said, I'm 2 years later and everything we talked about is everything that I'm deciding to do because, you've already went through it. So now it's my turn to take off.
Well, and the thing about, the money thing is, and that is one of the things when people talk about teaching, no, you're not going to get rich doing it. I mean, I make good money now. Rhonda makes, we do okay, and our kids are grown and out of the house, which that helps now. But again, what I was telling you when you were a senior, I'm not rich because of anything, of what I drive now or what I have here.
Speaking
material.
Of, you got a nice whip out there.
I did, yes.
Anybody
finally upgraded.
Nice
and
white
I have
Chevy
this
out
really,
there.
really expensive truck that drives 4 miles every day. It's just funny though. I spoke at graduation, the second time I ever spoke at graduation here. I said that when I farmed with my dad, I rode in that tractor. This time of year, you'd be riding in that tractor from 8 in the morning until sometimes 10 o'clock at night, and you'd be going about 3 mile an hour back and forth. And I used to just. What would I do if I won that lottery? I'd go back to Macomb and I'd buy me a lottery ticket. Man, I'm going to win $350 million. And then I can have whatever I want. And that whole graduation speech was about, I used to dream about being rich. And then I came here and I got rich,
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it had nothing to do with winning the lottery. The lottery that I won was getting to be a part of Illini Central. Or even the years that I coached at home. That's what's funny is when I was coaching at home and doing the farming, I didn't realize it, I didn't realize how much that meant to me. And I'll get into it in a minute when we talk about other stuff. But yesterday I did something that, it's just funny we're doing this today after what I did yesterday. There was something I did yesterday that reaffirmed what you're getting ready to do and what I've been doing, what I used to do. And, it's just kind of full circle in that way. So anyway, this year, like we said, you've coached multiple things, but when did you coach the first thing you ever coached that you look back on and you go, yeah, that was the seed that got dropped in the ground?
Yeah, so that was, I was a sophomore in high school, so I guess now it would have been the end of my sophomore year because high school baseball season is at the end of the year. So
Right.
it was the summer heading into my junior year. I was walking, so 5 summers ago, it's a long time. But I was dropping off who was a brother figure to me at a baseball practice, and I dropped him off and left, like any normal person would. And I get about 2 blocks away, and I really wanted to go. Like, I told myself after practice, like, I'm going to go to this practice and I'm going to help out. Well, I got scared and drove away with, all the kids and stuff I don't know. And I turn around about 2 blocks. Whoops. I turn around and I go back because I was like, I want to help out. And I went back and I walked up, and somebody who I coach with today, I just walked up and I was like, hey, you guys want any help? And he's just like, we could use as much help as we could get. And so from that day on, like you said, planting the seed, like if you would have told me in 5 years you're coaching them as 14-year-olds, and you're going to be really, really good, I probably would have laughed at you.
Right.
But yeah, that was that season, and then I came back the next year, and then came back the next year, and then came back the next year. And now I make the decisions, and we roll how I want. And a lot of that happened when I went to college, because I knew going to play college baseball wasn't necessarily I'm going to go play. It was I want experience, because I want to know more than I know so that I can pass that on. And so a lot of the stuff we do in my practices is stuff I learned from going to college or
Right.
learning from those other coaches out there.
Yeah. Because it's funny, like I said that you were infinitely better than me, which I don't know if I was really a big compliment, as bad as I was, but it's like, it wasn't though, like you weren't ever the star of your team.
No.
And I want to clarify that, because if you're listening to this, because a lot of people are confused when you talk about sports.
Yeah.
They think they know, but they don't know. And you just worked really hard.
Yeah.
You weren't very confident, though.
Never
if you were
confident,
honest. You
never.
didn't, but you would tell me something
Until like the very end of my senior year.
But even you would talk, and you would say something, like you would say something that was not cocky but confident. And then in the next breath, you'd be like, probably not.
Yeah.
And Bunner'd shoot you, and Bunner,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you know who I'm talking about, he wasn't being mean, but he was like basically trying to get you to like actually believe it instead
Yeah.
of just saying it. Do you
Yeah.
believe it? And the reason why I bring that up is you as a coach, because I've coached with some people who were good,
Yeah.
like real good, and they just couldn't do it, man.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't understand why can't them 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13, 14,
Just be
how
good.
do they not get it?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, how do you not get it? Well, one thing that always helped me as a coach is, like I said, I wasn't any good. It's easier for me to teach you, because
Yeah.
you can say, and it was like, well, how did you know what to? Well, I know how to play.
You just
I
couldn't
know. I
put
just
it
wasn't,
together.
I didn't work hard enough. But yeah, no, I've spent a lot of time studying the game and being
Yeah.
around the game and doing things to be better. And you have that too. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you feel that sometimes. Is like, you don't look at the guys you're coaching and be like, well, you're not as good as I was.
Yeah, no.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll tease some of those ones that I guess I'm close with all of them. Like I said, or it's like I've got 12, 13 brothers when I'm coaching that group. And it's funny you talk about belief, because in our first game we went to Taylorville, I want to say last weekend, and that's one of my biggest thing this year is believing. And I told a story similar to what you just said. When I started to believe it was like halfway through my senior year of baseball. So I've already went through all my seasons of basketball, all my seasons of baseball, and never truly believing it. And I mean, you can say you believe it, but it's got to come from here.
Right.
And that's kind of what I talked to them about. Like, you guys are heading into they're freshmen. They're 8th graders, but in my mind, they're freshmen because
Yeah.
it's their freshman year baseball.
Yeah, I mean, they basically have 4 weeks of 8th grade left, and they're freshmen.
Yeah, and then they're freshmen. So like this baseball season is preparing you for your freshman year. I'm like, why not believe now? Because I believed too late. And there was times my senior year, of basketball when I had to step up because certain guys were down, and I did because I knew I could because the summer before, but for some reason I just couldn't, get that to click.
Right. Well, and I can remember, even like when you were a sophomore, you got to play varsity.
Yeah, I got to play a lot.
Yeah, you
Actually,
you got a lot of minutes.
I started a couple times.
And the funny thing about being a sophomore is, and we've had this conversation before. A really good friend of mine, Jim Entwistle, would always say that wasn't your team. You know, so you just go out and just play hard.
Yeah.
You just go out and do whatever. Like you got next year, your junior year, and the year after that, your senior year, you're just playing.
Yeah.
You're like they say, you're playing with house money because it don't matter. You're not losing any money because you get to come back next year. The seniors are the ones that have, some skin in the game because this is it for them.
Yeah.
And I think the older you got, the more pressure you put on yourself to be something that when you're a sophomore, you're just playing, man. Yeah. You're just going out there and, whatever happens.
And it was nice for me to get to play out. Like, I think about it all the time. I got to play with 3 guys that scored 1,000 points, and I got, my role. I knew my role. Now, there were some times where I should have tried to score more, or if you're wide open somebody's within 5 feet, you should probably shoot it when you have the ability to, but there's that belief thing. But I think about that all the time. Like, my sophomore year, my role is to go out there, take charges. If I'm open, knock it down, but really feed those older guys and learn from Bryce. He was like the point guard that I was learning from, and then he graduated. Well, now it was my turn, and I'll never forget my first varsity start. You remember that one in Mount Pulaski?
Oh yeah, turn the ball over like a million.
I'd have one record here to line. I'm not sure if they kept that, and that was the most turnovers in a game. Well, from that game on, because I was so hard on myself, I made myself from that day, limit my mistakes and move forward. So then my senior year, I felt like I put together a good year as a point guard. I didn't score all the time, but I did with my job.
I just think the reason why I brought it up is like, from my own experiences, I didn't get to play because I didn't earn it. But I've seen you in the times that I've, watched you coach this year, especially, like you know how, because of what you did or didn't do, you know how then to communicate to your players to help them not make the same mistakes that you made.
Yep.
And that's why you're going to be good at it, because in life, I don't care what thing it is, whether you're coaching or whatever, if you don't have an invisible mirror where you can see how you really are, then you're never going to be able to get any better. And then by that, you're not even going to be able to help someone else get better.
For sure.
If you can't help you get better, then how in the hell are you going to help some kid get better?
Yeah. And there was times where I was too hard on myself.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. You were terrible about that.
I learned from that as well. So, I've got a couple guys who are like that, and I just, like I said, I'll say it a million times, I brag about these kids all the time because I'm so proud of what they've become, and I'm so proud of how far we've gotten. There's a couple kids that, are more than that, as in the sense as I feel like I get a second life of sports through these kids, and this one in particular has that same, and I've kind of instilled that in him in this last couple years of, so we'll be in the cage, I'm like, all right, that's good, that wasn't good enough, so then there's also a part of it where I'm like, all right, that was good enough, now move on. But I do like that some of those kids are holding themselves accountable and not just I'm the best one here, because no one's going to be the best one here ever. There's always somebody better, and there's always more work to be done.
Well, and what you just said, and this is funny, you and I do this to each other a lot, where, what you just said, like we agree with each other.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where you've been there, and you didn't, wasn't the coach's fault, wasn't mom and dad's fault, wasn't the ref's fault, wasn't anybody else's fault. You're looking at you and being, what could I do? What could I have done to make me better?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to teach the kids that you work with to do the same thing.
Yep.
And that's what you have to do. And whether, again, I don't have a lot of those experiences because I didn't play a lot. But we've talked, and I've told you many times, I watched how my coaches dealt with my friends. And I'm like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
And that's where I'm at the whole, that didn't work. Is it was being that hard on myself, did that really do me any good?
No, it didn't. I know it didn't.
Yeah.
You weren't the player that you could have been because you didn't believe, you would try to tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to do this and this and this. And then one thing go wrong and you're like, well, here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again.
And the best part is now, because of what you're doing, you can try to help kids not do that. That's what I was trying to do with you too. And
Yeah.
I think you did it to an extent, because again, it's just a game, but what it is it's like, it's life stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't believe that you can be successful in life, you're not going to be successful. Just like if you don't believe you can stay and guard this guy, or you can hit this shot, or you can throw strikes, or whatever it is, you're not going to do it. You and I have talked many times, and I still, it's the number one thing I miss from coaching. I don't miss practice every day. I don't even know if I really miss games or this or that, or I miss trying to help someone believe they can do something that they don't think they can do.
And I think that's another thing that, like we just talked about, the belief. When I was in Taylorville, I gave that speech of, you got to believe with the heart. You can think it, but if you don't believe, it doesn't matter. But also another thing that I'm bringing in this year is like short-term memory, because you have to have that short-term memory in a lot of parts of life and in sports for sure, because, in that horrific game I had as a junior in high school that I'll never forget, which someday hopefully I'll forget it, but probably not. I didn't have that short-term memory, so it was like, I remember Coach Gensel all the time. He would make you in PE, he would give you like 10 balls and you'd have to hold them all, and then he'd tell you to go run, and then he'd tell you to drop them and run, and which one are you faster. Right. And so that's what I'm trying to get these guys now to be like, not necessarily how I was, because if I made that error at shortstop, I was thinking about that error, that don't hit me this ball. And so now, just the other day, had a kid make an error in a tough spot, right? In a late game situation, you're getting ready to put the game away. He makes short-term memory, and he almost turns a double play to win it. So, I'm happy to see that growth, because it very easily could have been, I made this error, now my head's down, and now I don't make that game-saving play.
That Gensel thing, that's pretty good. I didn't know you did that.
The Gensel, oh yeah.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, you know who Coach Gensel is. Coach Gensel was the varsity coach, 2 varsity coaches before me. Took Illini Central to 2 straight super sectionals. One of the best coaches you ever be around. Carrying a bunch of was a basketball,
footballs, kickballs, volleyballs, but anything that was in the gym, he'd hand them to you. Baseball.
And if you're carrying,
he'd tell you to jug them all.
If you're carrying a bunch of things, you're not as fast or successful as if you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I carry that with me. I mean, everything.
Because that's everything.
Yeah.
That's everything. How many times have you and I talked about, you grew up with people, or you're around people, people that they can't let go.
Yeah.
We're not talking sports. I'm talking life.
Yeah. I mean, I struggle with that too sometimes. But
I flunked this last test. I'm going to flunk this one too. I just, I didn't do this, so this is going to go wrong too. You can't live that way. You cannot live that way.
And the more it gets, like we would take a step and then you'd add another ball. And that's the same with life.
That's good.
The more steps you take, the more you keep adding on, the harder it's going to get for you. If you just start letting go one at a time, you're going to make it to the end faster.
Well, and one of his things always, too, was frustration is the highest form of selfishness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're all upset because of the mistake you made. You're being selfish by not letting it go and moving on to the next thing. I mean, he was adamant about that. Like frustration, you being a baby about what you just did wrong, one of those balls that you were having to carry, now you're hurting everybody else. And it's the truth. Yeah. Like you were saying, like, well, I'm not going to be able to feel this next one. I'm going to screw it up like I screwed up the last one. Yep. Now you've just hurt everybody else on the team. You've definitely hurt that pitcher, because if the ball does come to you, you're going to blow it, because you've already told yourself you're going to blow it.
Yeah, and for me as a junior, I was still kind of the leader of the team as a junior, because our baseball team wasn't very good. 4-85, that's not a very good career, but we had fun and we went through it. But for me, as a leader, I felt like I let those guys down, because there would be a game or two where I'd have 3 errors because I wouldn't have just let the first one go. And then by the time I was a senior, about halfway, I got super confident halfway through my senior year. Like the most confidence I'd had ever, because I was hitting the ball well. I didn't have very many errors. Like I was playing the game the right way and doing a good job at it. Thanks to Coach Thomas too, for helping me.
Another good coach.
Yeah, for helping me understand the game a lot better.
Right.
And by that time, I was able to finally, when I made an error, it was, I got you next time.
Right.
I won't let you down again. And if I let you down again, well, I'm going to get the next one.
Right.
And a funny thing that if any of my guys is in my summer team that I've been with for 5 years, if any of them tune in, our thing this year is, who's the biggest dog here? I look, who is the biggest dog? Because if you don't believe it, if you don't yell back at, I'm the biggest one here. Who's our best shortstop here? Well, we only got one on the field, so you're the best shortstop here.
Right.
And if you don't believe that, then you're not going to go anywhere.
And I think that's, and I'm going to circle back to this many times, but this is why you're not supposed to be a state cop. I mean, because the year, 2 years ago, my last year as a coach, and I talked about it on a podcast. We're in a big game, and I bark at somebody, not mean, not not terrible, but I bark at somebody, and they immediately drop their head. Mm-hmm. And it's like that video from back when you were in school, of those two teammates, and that kid, his teammate grabs his teammates, pushes his chin up, and I look out there at the kid that I just barked at because I needed him to focus, and I'm like, get that chin up, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
And then that person did. And Willie made 2 or 3 plays down the stretch that if she don't make them, if she's still carrying multiple footballs, basketballs, soccer balls, whatever, if she don't just drop them and play, we don't win. We don't go to state.
For sure.
And how many people do you know that are carrying like every day?
Everybody, there's
their back is hunched over because they're carrying so many things that they didn't do right yesterday. Let's go. Mm-hmm. Let it go.
Yep.
What am I going to do today? Yeah, you're right. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
And we're only 2 games in to this summer season, and already in that second game, we walked away with a tie in the first one, and there was a time limit thing where I tried to get everybody to line up. I knew there was like 2 minutes because we started the last inning with 7 minutes to go. And I was like, please don't get through this inning super quickly because I knew we had a good shot to win. We had everything lined up, and we get through. And, sure enough, we get that final out as a pop-up to our catcher. And I'm like, line it up. And their coach comes out a minute 30. So we had to play it out, which no big deal. We ended up tying that game. But in that second game, we were down. We ended up winning, I want to say 9-7 or 9-6. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But we were down. Yeah, it was 7-4. We're down 7-4. This is our last. We got 3 outs. We got 3 outs. We put up 5 runs. And, and part of that, these two of our leaders come over to me at third base. They make a pitching change, and I've got my arms around them. I'm just like, just trust the process. Believe in yourself. Believe in each other. And just pass the baton. Pass the bat to the next guy. Don't do too much. Just do enough. Mm-hmm. And they put up 5 runs. We're up 9-7. We come out, and we get 3 outs. And it was just like, when that final out was made, I just couldn't do it. We talk about your 6th grade carrying your briefcase. I've got my fancy bucket, my binder, and I chart every single pitch that's thrown. So every pitch that's thrown, I've got where the location, the striker ball, and what pitch was thrown. And on that final, I couldn't do anything but just drop my binder and just sit there, watch them so happy, come line up, and then our other coach actually had to come get me because I think I was just like zoned out, and I think I was just gonna sit there, and then I went and shook hands, and we had a good talk out there, but. That was a really cool moment.
It's funny because and this is, again, you've learned these things and you're 20 years old. Like, the seniors when
Not 20 yet. I'm 19.
Okay, well, you're 19.
I'll be 20 in about a month.
When
2 months.
When we won the regional with the girls who are seniors, there's a really good picture that one of the parents took of all the girls running to take the plaque from the athletic director, and I'm just sitting down on the final chair just watching it. I've coached teams that lost every game. Yeah. I got an ungodly 2 big state championship rings sitting upstairs in this house. I've done it all. I've seen everything. And just to sit there and watch these kids, those kids. And it was the same thing when we made that state run. I just sat there. Families are all taking pictures, and one of my favorite parents, who's always been super supportive, walks over to me and says, "You're just soaking it all in, aren't you?" I'm like, yeah, it's the best. It's the best. It ain't about me. Yeah. I've been at the, if you want to consider O and whatever, the bottom. Yeah. I've been at the bottom. Yeah. And again, like I said, been a part of a state championship. And I don't love the kids that won the state championship any more than I love the kids that we lost every stinking game. You learn so much from all of it. So many experiences from all of it.
Yeah, and I think that'll help me too moving forward, because I want to win so bad, because even with basketball, we were okay, but we should have had a better win-loss record than what we did. But we never over 500, none of that. The only team that I played on that was my summer basketball team, where we were, pretty good. But for baseball wise, I was always the, not going to win many games. And so as a coach, I think having that experience, because, some coaches struggle when they're so used to winning and all they've done is win, they struggle with a team that's not going to win very many games.
Right.
And so for me, I think that helps me out a lot, because, the winning part's great, but having the experience of going through every game as a loss, I think that helps me get these guys in a better mind space of, we won a game and get used to it.
Right. Well, it's like you mentioned the briefcase. For if you're listening, when my first year of coaching, I coached 6th grade boys, and I wanted to be good so bad. I didn't want to win.
Everybody wants to win.
You wanted to win, but
yeah.
I didn't. My thing wasn't, I'm going into this, I got to win. I'm going to keep track of how many wins I have. I wanted to be the best coach I could be.
Yeah.
And I had been around arguably the best coach I was ever around, and learned so much from him. And I carried a gray briefcase to 6th grade boys basketball games with a book. I was like your age at the time.
Yeah.
I carried, a book and all these plays I had drawn up, and obviously my scorebook and stuff like that.
Were you dressed up in the suit and tie?
No, I wasn't suit and
not
tie.
Suit and tie
I didn't suit and tie it up till I got here. And, I didn't suit up junior high, but I wore my tie to games when I first got here 23 years ago. But those games, I just wanted to be good at it. I wanted to give those kids everything I had, and those parents everything I had. And I did. I took it so serious, just like you're doing. That's, I owed it to the people who played for me. Like, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it to the best, It's like my dad,
exactly what I preach now.
My dad, my dad would always,
that's what we gotta do.
From having gone to school here, shirt and tie every Monday. We can wear jeans on Friday, and he probably wouldn't like that, but I'm still a tech guy, and I'm wearing a shirt and tie every day because you want to be treated like a professional. Are you a professional? Then this is how you're going to dress.
Yeah.
You want to be a good coach? You can't be a good coach if you're not a good teacher.
Yeah.
If you don't take your teaching serious, then you ain't going to take your coaching serious either. Because that's what are you doing as a coach? You're teaching whatever that game is, that whether it's baseball or volleyball, basketball, whatever. And that was just drilled into my head from my father, that part of it. But as even coaching 6th grade when I was 19, 20 years old, I wanted to be so good, so bad.
And for me, it's like, I'm only 19 years old, and I went through and I have 13 seasons of coaching already. Right. And, some people, that's 13 years.
Right.
But for me, I've been lucky enough to, double up, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But 13 teams, I guess, if you take, 7th and 8th grade JV and varsity. But that's a lot. And before I leave here, I just want to, with the kids who I've been with from 6th grade to senior year, I just hope I made my mark. And I know for most of them, I did. Right. And a lot, especially the ones that I've been with for longer, that summer group, I know I have made my mark, and I know that they will be happy to see me whenever I make my rounds.
Right. Well, that's what's funny. I mentioned, I don't know, we've started and stopped this like 4 times already. So if I didn't say it, if I didn't say it, I'm saying it. If I said it, I'm repeating it. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to go and watch South Fulton baseball team's field get named after the guy I coached with when I was at home before I came here. And thankfully he's still living. So if he listens to this, Pete, it was nice that they did it when he was able to be there to do it. And he's, it's not like a health thing and they're trying to, unfortunately Coach Giesler, when they dedicated the court after him, it was because, it was around the time that he wasn't doing well health-wise. And but I went and watched them dedicate that field, name that field after him. I've seen that done with my high school football coach. And yesterday I saw so many kids that I had coached in the past, and they've got their, they're introducing me to their kids.
That's awesome.
And they're telling me story, they're like, I remember you saying this to me one time. Well, I said that to you when you were 10, 11, and you're probably 35, like I coached you when I was in my 20s and before I even had children, and now you're introducing me to your children.
And that's what matters, and that's what I can't wait for. Mm-hmm. I know, I've had some of those moments, obviously, but I am 19, so I know down the road, that's what I'm doing it for, and that's what I can't wait for, because I want, I want people to, know who I am, as in the aspect of, this is a good coach, somebody who cares, and they do things the right way.
Yeah, and it's not, no one that I talked to yesterday was like, remember when we won this game?
Yeah.
Or remember when we lost that game? It was, I remember you telling me when like we were talked a minute ago, I remember you telling me when I was hanging my head, what are you mad about? Come on, let's go. Like, I remember you telling me that. You were 11 or 12 when I told you that, and you're not anymore. And I'm not 20 anymore. You're talking 25, 30 years down the road, and you remember something I said when you were a kid.
That means more than.
And the ability to be able to say that you've done that again, it's worth more than a Mustang.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna drive it. You're going to, we used to laugh. You told me that one time, you're like, yeah, I probably won't drive it other than in the summer. I'm like, that's a lot of money to sit in that garage.
Yeah.
Coaching is the opportunity to always drive that Mustang.
Yeah.
It's just like I said, yesterday was really good for my soul to see those, those people. And Coach Pete, he was, I said to him, I wouldn't have been the coach that I was if it wasn't for him. And him being the humble person that he is, like, no, you were gonna like, but you're not.
Yeah,
you're not. You've been around good coaches. You've been around coaches. You've been around people who have taught you things, and adults that have taught you things. And it's even, like I said, coaching is teaching. Yeah. You've had teachers, whether they were your coach or not, that poured into you, and maybe it was, biology, or maybe it was math or whatever. And that person helps you be better at teaching someone how to, 100%. Turn a double play, how to do this, that, the other thing,
I've got a list. I could go on and on at home, of like 20 people who have made me who I am today. And I'm proud. I'm proud of that, because, without everybody and without the support and the knowledge and, where I didn't know, and I had people to ask questions to just to get me there, like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to go do great things with it, with whoever, in coaching and teaching and life. And that's something I'm going to leave this place very proud of.
And, some of my biggest role models were the teachers that I had, my football coach. You gotta, if you're paying attention, like we said, we've said before, you're gonna be able to look at those people who, I said it a minute ago, poured into you, gave you everything they had, so that then showed you how to be able to go ahead and do that for your kids. And I say that, then followed up with, at the end of the 8th grade boys basketball season, you're getting texts from kids, telling you, how thankful they are for you.
Yeah. Baseball as well. After that
and
first...
I said to you that night, when you came to help me tear down the broadcasting stuff, I'm like, that's what I was talking about when I was teasing you about the Mustang.
Yeah.
That one, a text message from a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Pouring their heart out. thanking you for what they did, for what you did, because you did pour into them. You did give them everything you had. I can't go in the house right now and, you know, I can't bring a check out here, you know, yell at Rhonda and say, bring me a check. And you tell me, okay, what amount do I need to write down?
Yeah, there's nothing
that's
that'll
worth that.
Yeah.
There isn't.
For sure. I mean, we were up there, and I mean, I'm a pretty emotional person, but that got me a little bit because it means something, you know. After that baseball season, when it didn't end how we wanted it to. You know, we had big goals, but you're not always going to get that win.
You're not.
But that was the win that night, and all the, you know, and all the pain, as we always say, and all the pain of that loss, you know, that was the biggest win, was that, you know, that I did that season, and that same kid this summer, you know, that is what we do every day, and that's, you know, how hard are we going to work, how much are we going to get better, you know, and I'm sure I'll get that text again, and from many others too.
Yeah. And that's not why, and the funny thing is that's not why you do it. That's just a result of you doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Because not everybody gets that. If you were doing it to get that, they would know and you wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it. You know, like, people don't understand that.
For sure.
You know? And I think that's one of the things, and one thing that I think the word love gets overused. And you and I have talked about it, but I'm sure, I mean, you've had to listen to me a million times.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm really big on this. Well, so-and-so, they love basketball.
Yeah.
Really? Do you really love it? Because if there's something that you love, you sacrifice for it. Your mother loves you. People who don't know your mother, you know your mother. I know your mother. She loves you. She's sacrificed for you. She's given up things so you can have things. That's what love is.
Yeah, for sure.
You have given up things because you love coaching these kids. I have sacrificed. You know, we had that conversation yesterday at the Diamond, as you know, when I was talking to these former players. I missed time with my own children for kids that I coached because I love them. Like, I've sacrificed. I sacrificed time with my wife. I've sacrificed time with my own children to help somebody else out. That's what love is.
Yeah.
And if you, as a player, say you love it, that's what you have to do. And if you're going to ask your players to do it, you damn well better be doing it too.
Yeah, that's huge. I've used that a couple times, and we talk about the two lanes, right? It's the lane of, you know, I want to get better, you know, I love basketball, and then there's the lane of, you know, doing what it takes to get there. And you've got one with a bunch of people, and there's only one person that's actually gonna, you know, do what it takes, and so that's huge. Yeah,
I posted that. I posted on Facebook back, I don't know, it's probably been a year ago, and you and I've talked about it multiple times. There's two people, there's two lines you can stand in: the line of the people who want to win, and then the line of the people that are willing to do what it takes to win. And the line of the people that want to win, it's got a whole lot of people in it. But then the line that has that where you find out what you have to do to do it, nobody, I ain't getting in that line.
Yeah.
And Coach Giesler and I would always call it want to. What do you want to do, or what do you want to, I want to win, but I don't want to do that. I got to do that to win. Well, I'm not doing that. You know, Coach Wherley's opening the gym up. We're not playing tonight. We're only dribbling and passing and shooting. Half the guys show up.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to go 5-on-5 tonight, and you got to send guys to the cafeteria. You got 25 guys there.
Yeah, and that's huge with, like, optional stuff, too. Like, if it's optional open gym or optional hitting in the cage, whatever it is, it's like, you know, the ones who show up are the ones who want it.
Right. And even some of those people, you know, to say they love it, what are you willing to sacrifice for that thing? And if you're not, then you're going to probably get what you're going to get. And I remember, you know, it was funny, one of the nights when you and I broadcasted together this past year, and it's how I know that you're listening to me, whether that's a good thing or not. It's picking and choosing. That's one of the things we've talked about. When you start picking and choosing when you are and you aren't going to give your best effort, you will more times than not pick to not, because that's easier. It's easier to give half than it is to give everything. Because sometimes you give, I mean, if you give half, you know, I wasn't really trying anyway. But when you give everything, and you're like, well, I didn't get what I wanted, and I gave everything, that's part of it, because that is what happens.
And that's what I'm proud of my, you know, short career here, was that I can proudly say every game of my senior year that I gave it everything I had, even when we fell short. You know, there's no, I should have done this or should have done that. Obviously, you can sit here and think of things, but in the whole aspect of that season and those games, you know, I left it all out there. But I know I have teammates who aren't like that. Some of them might not admit it, but some of them, you know, they wish they could have.
Yeah, because I mean, because I'm that person, you know, I wish I would have done more and been in better shape, and, you know, like, you didn't think it when you were 18, but at 55, I know I didn't work hard. I didn't do anywhere near what I needed to do. I got what I earned. Yeah. You know, that's what I said to my friend yesterday. I go, I'm happy for you. You earned this. He earned that. Yeah. You know, and I said, you know, at first I said, well, well deserved. And then I said, you know, you earned it. Deserve is, you know, some people, they think they deserve playing time. They don't earn it.
You have to earn
he
everything.
He earned that field being named after him. With all that he's done for that school and all that he's done for those schools and coaching and whatever, and the time spent, like, he earned that. And you hope that, you know, that's what you want to do, is you want to earn. I don't want you to give to me or think, oh, I deserve this. No, I got to earn it. And you do that by the time spent, what you give to it. So what all have you coached this year?
Yeah, so as soon as I got back, you know, I played my last game at the college, and I come home. So it was a Saturday, and I come home. We have summer baseball on Sunday. So from that day, May 18th, maybe, somewhere in there, but May 18th sounds right. And I get home, and we start baseball practice for that Sting team. That was for the summer, but those kids are going to be the middle schoolers for the 8th grade team. And we work hard, we get better. We didn't win, you know, we were 5-18. And yeah, that's in the back of our heads every single day. But we got better. And that's why we had a good middle school season. We were like 9-8 or something. It was the first time, or 8-8, but one of our games was like a scrimmage type game. So, you know, either the first 500 year or the first winning season, and, you know, Coach Wirt coming in, I mean, it was great. It was great to get to know him and help him out in his first year, because, you know, that had to have been hard. Coming into a program, you don't know anybody, you don't know the kids, and for me to be there, where I've worked with these kids for 4 years at the time, like, I think that helped out a lot. And, you know, his philosophy in getting things moving, you know, he cares, and he cares a lot, and he's going to do what it takes to get these guys better, and that showed it in year one. I mean, 9-8, 8-8, that was huge. And then when that ended, obviously I had, like, I don't know, maybe a month roughly, but I was, you know, helping you out with the broadcasts and stuff. So I was in the school almost every day from August. What day do you guys start school? The 18th or 17th or somewhere in there. So from that day, I was kind of around the school every single day, as then we started middle school basketball, in high school open gyms and stuff. And so then, middle school basketball, 7th and 8th grade. It was a blast. I mean, it was to get to be with kids, like I said today, to be able to be with the 6th graders and the seniors and everything in between. Like, you get to see a lot. And you get to see a lot of those younger minds, you know, start to turn, where some of those, you know, older guys, maybe not so much with something you say to them.
I said yesterday when I was talking to one of my former players, Pete, the guy that Pete Eagleton, the guy, the field named after him, he and I used to always say, because we coached junior high together, he was the 8th grade coach and I was the 7th grade coach for South Fulton when they came together. Middle school, you can see the light bulb go off for a kid.
Yeah.
Like, you see someone all of a sudden go, oh, now I know what you want me to do. I got it now. To where in high school, if the light bulb hadn't already gone off, it's too late.
Yeah.
And I don't mean being great. I just mean in terms of understanding what you need to do.
Yeah.
You see a middle school kid who 2 days ago did not know what in the world you wanted him or her to do. And now all of a sudden, I got it.
Yeah.
In high school, you're just polishing what's already that whatever groundwork you've laid in middle school. Like, nobody's a senior that all of a sudden the light bulb goes off. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You're just, they might be getting a little bit better, but they're not, no one's having that aha moment where they're like, I got it now. And again, you did, you had a couple of groups in middle school boys basketball that, had good seasons, obviously, the 7th grade.
It was really fun. Obviously, like you said, the 7th grade, they won the regional, and we're right there in that sectional game. You know how in middle school, I mean, you went through it. All you got to do is win one.
Right.
All
you got to
have
win
do
one
is
game to
win
go
one
state.
game.
Yep.
And I think they know, and I think they're going to have that fire next year. Like, they know they never came out with the intensity or the energy that they needed to. And so they fell short, but they got to win the regional. That was fun. And then the 8th graders, obviously, the 7th graders, obviously, they had a great season the whole year long, however many wins, whatever. But as a coaching standpoint and as an outside standpoint, you kind of know. How many wins did you really have at the 7th grade level? Because you play some of the 7th grade teams, and they're just younger and smaller. You got 6th graders playing 7th grade or whatever. So how many of those were, I don't want to say like good wins, but wins that you can say something about? Where the 8th graders, it was like, every team that they played was that good. So it was harder to find wins. So it was also harder to keep some of those 8th graders engaged because the 7th graders, all they did was win. And then in the 8th grade games, those 7th graders, a lot of them, the ones who played, it was like 7th grade game didn't really matter now because, you're going home on the bus after the 8th grade game. So at some point, whatever happened in that 7th grade game doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Because you won the 7th grade game, but now we're going home on the bus because we lost by 5 in the 8th grade game.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year, there was a bunch of those guys who were like that at times, like, the 7th grade, all they do is win, and we just can't find a win, when they couldn't. But then they started to turn it up, and they started to figure things out throughout the season. And we had a couple of guys who, we just talked about it. Why, you have to earn playing time, and a couple of them, maybe you started this game and played the entire game, but then in the next game you only played 2 minutes. Well, by the end of the year, those kids started to not be getting so mad about only playing 2 minutes.
Right.
Because things started going the right direction. And they started understanding their role and what we needed them into. And that was huge to see as the middle school standpoint. And actually, before I head into high school, we played Midwest Central 2 weeks before the regional at Midwest Central. And we told them in the locker room, like we straight up told them, you're going to play these guys in 2 weeks. So after that game, we got beat by like 20, I don't know however many, but we got beat by 20. It was a lot. It wasn't a great game from us. Just didn't come out ready to play. We get in the locker room, and they are just screaming, music, having a great time. And our guys are just sitting there. And we're like, okay. One of the coaches was like, take your phone out and record that. We'll play this in 2 weeks.
Right.
Know how that feels and how they are, and we'll play it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because those locker rooms are connected.
Right
like there's
there.
an office between them. Yeah.
And so we can hear all that, and then we come back 2 weeks later, and
at their place.
And the way that our practices were, I mean, before that regional game, I mean, in the practice before, I was like, if you guys play like this, we're turning the ball over 5-on-0. And I'm like, you're not gonna stand a chance tomorrow. If you think because you're the higher seed, when you play on Monday night, that you're gonna win because you're the higher seed, it's not gonna happen. If you're turning the ball 5-on-0, what happens when you throw defense out there? Well, I was surprised because I guess a practice like that before a regional meant they were going to win by 30. They had a practice like that. It wasn't very good, and then they come out and win by 30, and then they have a great practice the next day, and the next day was the 7th grade thing, so it was a lot of fun for them because the 7th grade won the regional or whatever, or it was a sectional game. I don't remember exactly. It was a sectional game, that's right, so they had lost the sectional, and then now it was everybody's on board because at the time it was, how much minutes are we going to give these 7th graders who have a chance to go play in state in the 8th grade game?
Yeah, it's, if you don't know and you're listening, the dynamic of that is when you win the 7th grade regional, the 7th grade sectional is like
Tuesday.
Right in the middle of the week of the 8th grade regional.
And so 8th grade was Monday, Wednesday,
Friday. So if
Friday.
you're playing up as a 7th grader on the 8th grade, you're kind of the coach. You're in a position where, we got a chance to go to state on Tuesday night. Are we gonna?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic, and it's an interesting dynamic with 12 and 13-year-olds.
And it was really nice because nobody wants to lose. We didn't want to lose that 7th grade section,
Right.
super sectional, whatever it is, sectional. But then it was like you saw the heads of the 7th graders turn, and I'll never forget outside the locker room one of the kids who, oh my gosh, was just unreal down the stretch for that 7th grade group. I mean, he just put it on, and he said, they were down by like 12 in the regional game.
Right.
I'm not losing, and he would just go in there and he would just score. He'd play defense, and outside the locker room, he's like, it's time to go for that 8th grade one now,
Right.
because as a 7th, what are you supposed to do? Your season just ended. It's time to go, and then they turn around, and we're actually playing, a buddy of mine, in that second game, and that's a tough one, right? Because one of us is going to play in a regional title game, and obviously you want both of them to go. But it was nice that we were able to get it done. And the first time we'd lost this team already. We lost them by 8, I want to say, at their place early on. And like I told you, we had a slow start, and we turned around and we put it on by 20 again. Like, it wasn't close. And
Right.
they just put it on, and we get the opportunity to play on the Friday night to bring home a title at their place. We're up like 8 at half. We get in the locker and they're celebrating and stuff. So we're not done yet.
Right.
We're only up 8. This
Yeah.
team is good. They've got good players, and it came down to the wire, and their kid went off in the 4th quarter, and we ended up losing by 1. It was 4 points. We had a foul, whatever, 2-point game. They make both free throws. Then we threw in a shot at the buzzer, and there wasn't enough time for a timeout. But
Right.
that was a great ending, you'd say. It's not all about the win.
it was a well-played game.
Yeah.
As a coach, you always, there's things you could look back and wish this was different. I wish that was different. But
for sure.
the effort was there.
Yeah.
Like, and competed on the, on the road at the the number
And
one
it was,
seeds
it's packed
place.
in.
Yeah.
And to see some of those kids throughout the year who in the first couple weeks, and we're trying to tell them, if you just do this, if you just do that, things will flow, and they weren't having it. Well, they were having it when we were playing in that title game. They were giving it everything they had, and I think, for whoever the varsity coach is moving forward, they've got good kids who are going to fight for them, and they're going to play hard, and we saw
Right.
that there at the end of that season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it was that game especially was, you weren't sure how it was going to go going in,
Yeah.
and they can't be disappointed. No, that's not true. They can be disappointed, but
Yeah.
there were positive things to build on.
And me, we've already talked about how negative I was and down on myself. In that locker room speech, I was just like, it hurts. It does hurt because you were that close to winning a regional. They wanted to win. I always wanted to win a regional. They all, these guys wanted to win a regional from day one, because everything was 7th grade. And those 8th graders were like, no, no, it's 8th grade. And so they were that close. But I did mention, I was like, all right, now when you're playing video games in June, instead of being in the gym, then you can't be complaining about what happened today because there's a lot of work to be done. And you got a lot of time to get there, but it's going to fly by.
What's the difference between I love basketball?
Yeah.
I like basketball. I love winning. I like to win.
Yeah.
That's what we were saying earlier, and that's exactly what it is. Can you still feel that pain of losing that game? Losing that sectional, losing that regional championship game. What are you willing to do to not have that feeling again?
And a lot of it was, there was a couple plays, not one play is going to end the game, but when they add up, we missed 6 layups. So I'm like, if I'm you and I'm in the summer and we're going through layup drill because everybody thinks that those layups don't mean anything and we're laughing and just carrying on. They're middle schoolers, but at some point they got to have that.
The funny thing is well, they're 8th graders. Well, the next, you blink your eyes and they're a sophomore.
Yep.
And then you blink again and they're seniors.
Yeah.
You can say that, but, it goes fast.
And so, they finally, I think when I was saying that, their eyes kind of opened up a little bit because obviously everybody was kind of, it was a good season.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it was a good season. But was it a good season or was it a good ending?
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a good season. We had a fantastic ending.
How many times earlier in the season could you have got a win, maybe, if you would have had that approach that
Yes.
you had in the last week and a half?
It would have been unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, but okay, so during those days of the 7th and 8th grade, I mean, there was days I'd get to the school at 2:45, wouldn't get home till 10:45, and somebody'd be like, "That's a lot of hours." Well,
Right.
I was getting there for middle school practice from 3 to 5, and then we'd get on the bus at 5:30 or 5 o'clock or 4:45, whatever,
Right.
to head to the Maroa was the longest one, and so you get home, and helping coach high school was awesome this year, because I'd been in the system. I'd already went through it. I knew the expectations. I knew
Right.
kind of how practices went. So that was fun to get to do that and do both. And then I obviously prioritized, most of the time I was more at the high school, where if there was 2 games the same day, I went to the high school game. Besides the regional, obviously, I was going to be there for that. But no, what you were talking about earlier about how I got the opportunity to coach a couple JV games. That opportunity even more told me that I was going to be, I wanted to be a varsity coach, because then when I was sitting after, when coach got back, then I'm like, man, I just want to do it. I just want to be the one to make the decisions down the stretch. And I'm 1-3 or 1-2, but through those games, it wasn't the win or loss that mattered. It was the opportunity to see those kids fight for me till the very end.
Right.
Because that one of the games that you were broadcasting, I mean, we were down by a bunch at half. And we played all the way out
Yep.
till that final buzzer, and we cut the game to like 8 or 9. So,
Because coaching JV is just a different animal. It's
Yeah.
just different. You had guys that were in with you in the first half, and then they don't play in the second half because they're going to play a lot of varsity. And
yeah.
then you're just teaching, Nobody remembers if you won a bunch of JV games.
Yeah, no.
They remember, you're getting guys, I told you many times that, be the JV coach on a state championship team, and you look across the crowd and there's only moms and dads there for the JV game. There's a reason why. And then all of a sudden you come out of the locker room for the varsity game and there's no place to sit down. You're the opening act.
Mm-hmm.
The varsity game, that's the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
You're the opening band that nobody knows. And so then again, you're spending your time teaching, hoping to get guys ready so they can contribute when they are on the varsity.
Yeah, and there was some guys, that would be super upset after the JV game, and it's like, there's no reason for that, because if you get the opportunity to play varsity, there it is. We can bring that back in. You've got stuff on your shoulders from the JV game.
Right.
If you don't let it go when you get in the varsity game, you're going to be right back on the bench because you're going to make another mistake.
Because to be honest, you're not good enough. You're not a good enough player to go out there and be carrying a football, soccer ball, volleyball, whatever, softball, whatever. You can't be carrying. You can't be carrying bad plays and then go into that level. That's what people don't understand. Is and that's one thing that we talked about it during broadcasts of the girls' games. If you're a freshman playing varsity on a team that has 6 people, it's tough to go from being,
Middle
you just
school
played
to
8th
varsity,
grader and now you're playing in a varsity. You're not, in the 8th grade, in an 8th grade game, you might be playing against 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. Mm-hmm. In a varsity game, you're a freshman playing against juniors and seniors and the best sophomore at most of the schools.
Yeah. And
it's hard. And if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to be even harder.
And so then our season, the middle school season obviously ended, so then the focus was on high school every day. We thought our season would end on a Friday night, but, we didn't show up and play and get the job done on Monday night, so I had a week there. And then baseball was going. So then we went from one to the next, and then our baseball season, most would say, you haven't won a game, nothing's going well. But for some of those younger guys, things are going well. We're getting better. We're starting to understand the game. And like I said, it's the coach's first year, so that's a program switch. That's not easy. And so what's being built and what's being set down, I think is going to be great moving forward. And so we're here until we're not. We got
Right.
a couple weeks left.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a long year.
But it was a fun year.
Yeah.
Especially with everything that went on. So it was good to have all that coaching and every day being busy. That was a lot of fun.
And it's you can't. I got a million books upstairs that you could take home with you right now, and that ain't.
Yeah.
That's not being in the moment coaching.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked. I can tell you games where I screwed up and made the wrong choice and did I should have done this and you should have done that. And everybody's sitting on the other side of the gym who knows more than you do, thinking you shouldn't have done. Like, you do what you think is right in the moment, and you have to be in the moment to learn what to do in the moment. It's like when Duke got beat in the NCAA tournament and the Boozer kid turned it over.
Yeah.
It was a dumb play, and he shouldn't have made it. He's won 4 state championships in high school. He won the state championship every year he's in high school. He's played so much basketball. His dad's in the NBA. His dad was an NBA player. He is going to play in the NBA. He's still a kid. He's still an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And you make mistakes. Just like the coach. The coach makes, you're going to make the wrong choice sometimes.
And then it's just how fast can you put that behind you
Right.
and move forward.
Yeah.
And you might make that same mistake again. But then it's just, how many times until you finally make that switch and don't make that mistake again.
And then you get in your head, having been in situations where it clicks, don't do this or do this, don't do that, so this year, and I think the biggest thing that your experience from this year is, like you said, you've coached from 6th graders to seniors.
Yeah.
You've worked with you've worked with guys that do care and guys who you got to drag it out of them, and that's what you're gonna have as a coach. You're very rarely are you going to get to, you're not coaching an AAU team where you get to pick who plays for you entirely, and you got to learn to manage the people that you've got. And you've had to do that.
With the JV, that was a big learning experience for me, for sure, because it was, like you said, you don't get certain guys. So when I was the guy and I had to step up into that role, and I felt like I did a pretty good job,
Yeah,
I felt like I did a really good job.
It was fun watching you to coach those games because, it's definitely different.
Yeah, and it was fun to drag some of that out. I think my ability and my confidence. Now it's funny, like I have all the confidence in the world as a coach. Mm-hmm. As a player, I didn't, but now as a coach, I've got all the confidence in the world. So I feel like with my confidence and bring that in, I felt like some of the guys, turned a little bit and maybe did some things that they wouldn't have done before, which was no different because I was always there anyway.
Right.
But it was cool to get to, put some pieces together and see what works in certain situations. And there were some situations where, somebody was like, well, why did you sub so-and-so? Well, I didn't do most of the subbing,
Right.
So it was cool to just get to let everything play out because I had a bunch of help and the support to help me get through it anyway, and help me along the way. And that's something I'll take, from each and every one of the coaches I coached with, for everything. I'll take all that with me wherever I go.
And when you're around people who care and do a good job, that it's not too hard to learn from that.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to be around all different kinds of personalities. Like I said, Pete was different than the person I coached with when I got here, and I coached with Chris Snyder. He and I coached together, and then I had other people that coached with me before I went up to the JV, and I got to sit on the bench as the 8th grade coach and be around Coach Giesler and the JV coaches he had before me. And I've talked to you before. I remember I would spend time at that time, because as the 8th grade coach, like, I'm not doing anything, just sitting there. And I'm watching the other coach down the bench, like from the other team, watching how they deal with their players. And the kid does something stupid. How does he react? Does he go crazy, or does he, I learned so much from that.
I really want to be like, we've talked about the Auburn coach before. I really want to be like him. Like, I love how
Coach McCoy's a great coach.
I just love how he does his stuff over there, and
he's a great coach.
His energy. And it's funny when I go to the Mount Pulaski tournament or Williamsville tournament, everybody's like, "Well, who are you going to watch?" And it's like, "Well, I'm really going there to watch coach, the coaches." And I usually sit back and just soak in their timeouts and stuff like that,
and listen to how they deal with their players. Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
And like you said,
when I was a bench warmer in high school, I watched how my coach dealt with my friends.
Yeah.
I knew that chewing this friend's ass was not going to work, yet we'd still do it. Or, taking it easy on this guy, well, you weren't going to get anything, like that is the majority of what you're doing is you're managing people.
And not only the players, like we've talked about before, in your timeouts, who are you really talking to?
Uh-huh.
Are you talking to the players? Somewhat. Or are you talking to the people behind there that might be listening in?
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I've told you stories before how, I'd be in a timeout, kids would be sitting on the bench, and you just, in your peripheral vision, see up behind them, mom's listening to every word you're saying, and dad's listening to every word you're saying. And I remember, I know I've told you this one, and one time I saw that, and I knew what I was doing. I'm like, so-and-so, Lucas, you're better than that. Let's go, instead of just ripping you, Lucas, you're better than that. Timeout ends, you go back out on, not you specifically, but you go back out on the court, and I turn and face the court, and you do something wrong, and next thing you know, what do I hear? Your mom. Lucas, you're better than, like, they're listening to you.
Yeah.
And you're playing the whole room. You're playing that whole gym. And you really kind of have it, this is going to sound over the top, but in some ways you have it a little bit in the palm of your hand in terms of your negative or your positive can bring people together or make them separate.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, that doesn't go for everybody and for everything, but it definitely is part of it.
And that's the fun that I've had about coaching so far is not only that I love being around the game, but it's kind of like, it's just like putting a new puzzle together every day, every practice, every game. It's just, what works, what doesn't work, who can play where, who can do, in basketball and baseball are completely different. And so that's why it's, moving forward, I'll be coaching basketball for a couple of years, but I mean, who's to say that I'm not going to, I'm not counting out baseball yet. So, because I like the coaching aspect of both because I think they're completely different. And a lot of people will tell me I'm wrong, but in my experiences, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Coaching it's two different things. Same philosophies, same, mental state and how you do things, but just the games are so different. You just can't compare the two.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, there's just nothing like it. It really isn't. And it's, again, that's the thing that when people asked me yesterday what I missed the trying to make you believe you can do something that you don't think you can do.
And that you can do in any sport, in any age level.
And you can do it as a teacher too. Like, hey, gosh, if you'll just work really hard, things will go your way.
Yeah.
If you'll are you going to get everything you want? No, clearly not. You might not.
Yeah, it's
and
just
you might, I always, I've told you before about the team, the 2010 team in Carlos. Like those guys, he worked so hard. I opened the gym for he and Luke so much, and you lose on a buzzer beater in the regional championship game.
Yeah.
And I remember hugging him after the game, and I worked so hard for that. Sometimes you don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's life. That really is. That's life. That's the way it goes. But you wouldn't trade it. Like I wouldn't in that moment saying, well, I wish we would have never opened the gym, and I wish I would have never spent time with these guys, and I wish we would have,
That's one thing that I've also tried to tell them, like the guys that I worked with from 6 to seniors this year, like you're not, you're not going to regret working hard. What you will regret is not working hard or not doing the extra stuff. And that's why it's so nice that I've been able to have that relationship with the 8th graders, because they've got 4 more years. And so if just one of them, if just hopefully more, but if just one of them can take that away, then my time here was successful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have the right mindset and you have the ability to build those relationships, and that's going to translate no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
What's coming up then?
Yeah, I'm heading to Bloomington to go to ISU, to go to school there, finish my degree. And, I've been blessed with an opportunity to go help out Cornerstone's varsity basketball program. So I'll sit with Chad as an assistant, and it's been great so far with the experience I've had with them and the AD, and everything's just been, it's been so good, and I'm excited to go there and get to work. So, this forever will be home. What's on my hat or on the jersey, that'll forever be home, and I'll never stop bleeding black and gold. But it's time to put on the green and white, and it's time to be a Cyclone.
Yeah. Well, it's fun that you're going to be able to be up there and finish up your, like you said, your degree, because that's got to be your number one. That's got to be your number one focus. But then, I mean, if you'd have told me when I was your age that I wouldn't still be at VIT teaching or working there, I wouldn't have believed you. And, I've told you this story, and anybody that watches this, that reads the things I post or the things that I say, like, I had a chance not to come here. Like, I had a chance to be at home and stay at home. And I thankfully listened to the calm that God put over me. And 23 years later, I wouldn't trade what I've done for this place, and I would hope that people would consider it to have been a successful partnership, me and Illini Central. So it's one of those things where who knows? You never know. You could end up back down here, or maybe not.
Could be far away from here.
Yeah, you never know. But I mean, with what we've talked about through this entire podcast, what we're talking about, it plays anywhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you're at. If you show people that you care about them and that you're going to sacrifice for them,
good things are going to happen.
Good things are going to happen. They just are.
Yeah.
They are. And if for whatever reason they don't, somewhere else will.
Yeah. And before we wrap this up, we you talk about, anybody that knows me knows that and we talked about earlier, 3 steps ahead, or a week ahead, or a month ahead.
And by that we mean you're always, and that's not a bad thing to be, like what like this is what I want to do. It's never good to live, like with what's right in front of your face all the time. But sometimes you have to be in the moment where you're at. And
so took me a long time, but I finally taken that advice that's been over time, years now, because even when I was thinking about getting out of high, I mean, it was all over the place, where I was going to end up. But I'm finally just, my plan is not going to, I'm just letting the plan for me fall into place and letting it roll. And that's exactly how I got on with Cornerstone, was just let it roll. It was a couple texts. It took about a week of communication, and it's just like, that was what was best for me. Because I told you, what did I tell you about every day I woke up? What was that voice in my head? You remember? It was, I got to go where?
Right.
I got to go to Bloomington.
Yeah.
I got to go to Bloomington.
Well, I mean, you're going to school up there. The hope. It was a nice thought that, hey, maybe I could, go to school in Bloomington and still, be around here.
Yeah.
Because you've got a relationship with the kids here, and I mean, I love you to death and whatever. But the best thing for you is focus on your schooling and be right across town.
Yep. And I'll be living up there, so that'll be
better
for me than still helping out here.
Yeah, we only know one person that can drive from there down to here every day and then back. But it's. I know people who don't like it, and I understand it because it's annoying when it's not a good thing in your life. Yeah. But when you say everything happens for a reason, or things, maybe they don't happen for a reason, but you have the opportunity to make the best
Yes.
of what does happen to you.
Yeah.
It's the whole life is good thing from somebody you know who says that to everybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't say it's perfect.
But it's good.
I just choose to find the good in the things that do happen. Would I rather see you on a regular basis? Yeah. I'd rather see you multiple times a week. But that's not what's best for you.
Yeah.
So I can't be selfish about that. I will come up and take you out to eat with my own kids, and we'll do that.
Yeah.
And I'll come watch you coach, and we'll do that. But it's the right thing, and it's going to be a good thing, and it's going to be a learning experience, and it's going to be a different voice. I mean, like I said, the number of coaches that I've been around and learned from, some of them really good, some of them fantastic, some of them maybe not.
I'm super excited.
They've all played a part in what Coach Wherley was.
Yeah.
You know, and what Mr. Wherley is. You know, I had some fantastic teachers as a kid, like just the best icons, legends, made me who I was. And you've been around others that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this quote. I've been meaning to do this, like post screenshots of things. And it's from a really famous person, I guess famous teacher. They did a TED Talk, which I don't know if anyone knows what a TED Talk is anymore. They don't even do it anymore. She says students don't learn from teachers they don't like. And I'm sure there's people that listen to this right now. I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't. I can learn a lot from someone that I don't like or don't respect.
Yeah,
I learn how I don't want to be. I don't want to be like that. I won't be like you.
Yeah.
And I would say that has been as much of an influence on me as the people who have been positive. Like, you see someone and you go, I don't want to be like that. You know? And that's okay.
Because you can learn from everybody.
You can learn from everybody. Just like you can learn from a kid. You can learn from a 10-year-old. You could learn from those little kids in that first game I ever coached. Did we win? Did we win? Nope. We got beat 30-0 or whatever it was. But let's have the joy of a little kid who don't know any different. And I'm not joking. I would have loved to have a picture of my face in that moment. Because at 17, I learned that lesson, and I still believe it today. In that moment, I mean, you know, not that you're going to yell at a bunch of first graders, but in that moment, they didn't know, and it didn't matter. We'll get them next time, guys.
Yep.
And that's life. Did we win today? Well, maybe not, but we can win tomorrow.
Yeah.
And just a lifetime of those kind of memories. And you're going to have those, you're going to have that too. And that's the best part. And I'm just glad that you're doing it, and you will be rich.
Yeah.
You might be driving the same car for a number of years, but you're going to be rich.
And another thing is that, like, when I when I am coaching or whatever, and you know, it's taken so serious as the years go on at younger levels. Like, as the years, it just keeps getting more like state championship, you know, NBA finals, whatever, World Series. And my biggest thing is finding a way to enjoy every moment, whether we're winning, whether we're losing. Like, somebody makes an error, they, you know, put a smile on that face and get in here ready to hit, or put a smile on that face and go play defense. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when they graduate, they think they've got a lot of time left. Hate to say it, they don't have much time. You know, 4 years is gonna, I mean, it's gonna be here before they know it. And, you know, for them to just enjoy every moment, like you talked about, soaking everything in. When I was, you know, got the opportunity to play in that regional championship, I mean, I walked on that court and warmed up, like, you know, looking around, enjoying it. When I went to college, all the cool stadiums we got to go play at, soaking it in. When we walked off a team and going and celebrating, all of those moments is what, you know, is gonna make me at the end of the day, not necessarily, you know, the up and down success.
Yeah,
but just soaking it in, enjoying every moment, every game.
I told someone yesterday, you know, the person I was talking to the most yesterday, when I talk to the state championship kids, we rarely, if ever, do we talk about basketball games. It's about
Not
the
even the
fun
championship
times. I can't even remember talking about the state championship game. We talk about memories we made along the way, and stuff like that. The nice part about the winning is it prolongs the end.
Yep.
You get the opportunity to make more
memories.
That group of kids got to make more memories together. That's what makes it great. The state run with the middle school girls 2 years ago. You got to make more memories. That's it. Like a team that loses every game, unfortunately, or loses a lot, or you lose in the regional first round or in the semis or whatever, you just don't get to make as many memories. That's what stinks about it. Mm-hmm. It's not the championship ring. It's not that street sign behind you. It's you don't get the chance to make more memories. That's what's bad. And that's coming from a person, again, who, like I said, lost every game. I think I lost every game maybe 3 times middle school coaching, whether girls or boys. And the funny thing is that I'll never, and this is what I know you'll do this because I do it. You'll remember stuff that just seems silly to remember. Like, why do we remember that?
Yeah.
One of the first years I coached, we weren't very good. And I think it might have been a team that didn't win a game. And most of those games were bad. Like, it's one thing. It's one thing to lose a lot of games, and you're not getting smoked,
competing a little bit.
It's another thing just to get your head handed to you. But then one night or one day, you're in it, and I just you're in the game. Like you're playing another team's not very good, and you're in it, and I can see it. I'm 22 years old. I'm talking 33 years ago. And I'm just standing there, and I don't know why I'm just smiling from ear to ear. Because you're in it, and kids are playing hard because they're so used to getting their brains beat in that they're like, we might win this game.
Yeah.
We didn't, but I'm just standing there in the moment. And it's like the chaos around you and the cheering and the whatever, and it all just goes, you know how they say it, like a person's on fire. They can't, like it's just silent in there. Just in that moment, I'm just smiling like, this is why you do it. You do it because you got kids who are playing their tails off. They ended up winning, but just in that moment, you're like, this is why you keep working hard. You keep giving them everything you have for that opportunity for them to make that good memory. Not so you get a W, you get to make a mark on your, I've won X amount of games, whatever. I'm the losingest coach in Illini Central's varsity boys basketball. That has nothing to do with me as a coach. Yeah. Nothing. It doesn't. Because
the relationships and everything.
100%.
You talk about, the birthday texts and all like that.
From, getting a text on Father's Day.
From people you coached 10 years ago or,
Yeah, I put it on Facebook.
5 years ago.
I put it on Facebook not that long ago. I'll take the fact that I've helped raise a bunch of kids who have no problem looking at me and saying, I love you, coach.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Because in the end,
that's what matters.
That's what's going to matter.
100%.
That you don't have a problem looking at me and saying, I love you, coach. And that if I don't say it to you, you're wondering what's wrong. So, and that's what you're getting ready to do. And I'm excited to see what you can do.
And I'm excited for the opportunity. I'm ready to get rolling.
And you are going to absolutely kill it. Well, I'm glad you sat down with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
An hour and a half. That's not bad. We'll see who wants to make. The best part is you can always stop it, start it again. You don't have to sit there and look at the side of my. Got a little bit of tan there, but like a white here. Every one of these I ever do, I always end it the same way because it's so important. You got to remember, life is good. Love you, Lucas.
Love you, Coach. Well, love you, Dub.
Yeah, that's it. It's not coach anymore. That's what Bunner. You can't call me coach. I'm not a coach anymore. Take care. Life is good. We'll see you.